My sister left her kids for me to raise. Now she wants the money they offered as thanks. It all started when my sister, Michelle, walked out on her 3 kids. At first, I couldn't believe it. One day she was there, and the next, she disappeared without a word. Her absence sent shockwaves through the family, but it was the children who bore the brunt of the impact. They were left with their confused emotions and a myriad of questions, but no answers. When I received the call about her departure, I knew I had to step in. I had always loved those kids as if they were my own, and I couldn't let them go through this alone. So I made the decision to raise them, Anna, Michael, and little Sarah. They were just 7, 5, and 2 at the time, and I was determined to provide them with the stability and love they needed. The first few months were chaotic. I had a steady job, but managing my career while taking care of 3 young children was a challenge. I had to rearrange my life completely. The little things, bedtime stories, homework help, and even grocery shopping became monumental tasks. But every time I saw their smiles, it filled me with purpose. As the days turned into months, I settled into a routine. I enrolled them in school, organized playdates, and took them to activities. I became their guardian, their confidant, and their primary caregiver. We formed our own little family unit, and I cherished the bonds we built. Anna, the eldest, was exceptionally responsible. She took on the role of the little mother, helping me care for her siblings. Michael, full of energy and curiosity, kept us on our toes, while sweet little Sarah always brought joy with her innocent laughter. I poured everything I had into raising them, making sure they felt loved and supported. There were difficult moments, of course. They would sometimes ask about their mom, and I had to navigate those conversations delicately, trying to provide comfort while also being honest about the situation. "Where's Mommy?" they would ask, their eyes wide with confusion. "She's going through some things right now, but she loves you very much," I would reply, hoping it would ease their pain. Things started to change a few years later. Michelle reappeared in our lives, out of the blue. It was a chaotic reunion, and honestly, I was nervous about what her intentions were. She wanted to see the kids, and I allowed it, hoping that maybe this time she'd be ready to step up. At first, the visits were infrequent, but soon she started showing up more regularly. The kids were excited to see her, and I could see the hope in their eyes. They longed for a relationship with their mother, and I didn't want to be the one to deny them that. However, it didn't take long before I realized Michelle hadn't changed much. She was still the same person who had walked away, and while she claimed to want to reconnect with her children, her actions spoke differently. She was often late for visits or would cancel last minute, leaving the kids disappointed. I noticed the emotional toll it took on them. They would light up when she arrived, only to be let down again when she failed to show up. I could see the confusion on their faces, the inner turmoil of loving someone who continuously let them down. I tried my best to fill the void, but I could feel the strain it was putting on all of us. Then came the day that changed everything. The kids had been saving their allowance for months, planning to buy me a small gift as a thank you for everything I had done for them. I was overwhelmed by their thoughtfulness. When they presented me with a beautiful handmade card and a few dollars to put towards something special, it brought tears to my eyes. "Thank you for being the best aunt ever," Anna said, her voice filled with sincerity. Just as we were basking in that beautiful moment, Michelle walked in unannounced. The kids were ecstatic to see her, but I felt a pit form in my stomach. I could sense trouble brewing. "Hey, what's this?" Michelle said, her tone sharp as she eyed the money in their hands. "They wanted to thank me for taking care of them," I said defensively. Michelle's expression darkened. "They're my kids. How dare you accept money from them? They should be giving that to me." The atmosphere shifted instantly. The kids looked confused, unsure of what to say. I stepped in, my heart racing. "They wanted to show their gratitude, Michelle. This isn't about you. This is about them expressing how they feel." "No, this is about you taking what belongs to me," she shot back, her voice rising. The confrontation escalated quickly. I could feel the tension in the air as Michelle continued to berate me. "You think you can just step in and take my place? You're nothing but a babysitter," she spat. I was furious. I'm not trying to take your place. I've raised them when you abandoned them. They needed me, and I was there for them. This isn't about money. It's about love and support." The kids were watching, their eyes wide with fear. I felt a wave of protectiveness wash over me. You can't just waltz in here and demand anything from them. They've suffered enough because of you. Michelle's expression turned to one of desperation. I'm their mother. I deserve respect. You're keeping them from me. No, I'm protecting them from you. I replied firmly. You've had your chance and you let them down. This is not about you anymore. The confrontation left us all shaken. I could see the fear in the kids' eyes, and it broke my heart. They had wanted to share a beautiful moment with their mother, but instead, it turned into a nightmare. After that day, things took a dark turn. Michelle began spreading rumors about me within the family. She painted me as the villain who had taken her children away. It was heartbreaking to hear my own family members question my intentions, influenced by her lies. I tried to maintain my composure, focusing on the kids and their needs, but the emotional strain was overwhelming. I felt like I was fighting a battle on multiple fronts, raising the kids while also defending my honor. Then came the legal threats. Michelle, feeling emboldened by her family's support, decided to pursue custody. I received a letter from her lawyer outlining her demands and intentions. It was like a punch to the gut. I knew I had to fight back, not just for myself, but for the kids who had become my world. They deserved stability, and I was determined to give that to them. The legal battle. The court hearings were harrowing. Each session felt like a personal attack. Michelle's lawyer painted me as the villain, while I sat there trying to hold back tears, knowing that I had sacrificed everything for those kids. As I testified about the life we built together, I could see the judge's expression shift. I recounted the nights I stayed up with them when they were sick, the laughter we shared over family dinners, and the love that filled our home. But Michelle countered with emotional manipulation. I'm their mother, she argued. They belong with me. You're just trying to steal them away. The judge listened intently, but I could see the doubt creeping in. I had to stand my ground. Your Honor, they belong with the person who has been there for them. I've raised them in a loving environment, while their mother was absent. Each session dragged on, filled with arguments and accusations. It was exhausting. I could see the toll it was taking on the kids, who were often forced to testify about their feelings caught in the crossfire of our conflict. One day, during a particularly intense session, the truth finally emerged. I had brought the kids in, knowing that their voices mattered. They were nervous but brave, determined to share their side of the story. Your Honor, Anna began, her voice trembling but resolute. I love my mom, but she wasn't there for us. My aunt has always been there. She helped me with my homework, took care of us when we were sick, and made us feel safe. Michael chimed in. Yeah, she's our family. We don't want to leave her. The courtroom fell silent. I could see the impact of their words. Michelle's expression shifted from anger to disbelief as the judge nodded, processing their testimonies. The emotional weight of the moment was palpable. I knew the kids were finally expressing their truth, and it filled me with pride. They were standing up for what they believed in, and I was proud to be their guardian. After weeks of intense hearings, the judge finally delivered the verdict. As I sat there, my heart raced. The kids were beside me, holding my hands tightly. After considering the testimonies and evidence presented, it is clear that the children have formed a strong bond with their aunt, who has been their primary caregiver for several years. I am awarding custody to her, as it is in the best interest of the children. Tears filled my eyes as I heard those words. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over me. The kids erupted in cheers, hugging me tightly. But amidst the celebration, I could see Michelle's face contorting with rage. She stormed out of the courtroom, slamming the door behind her. I knew this wasn't the end of the conflict, but for that moment, we had won. The aftermath of the ruling was complicated. Michelle wasn't going to go down without a fight. She began to spread rumors about me, reaching out to distant relatives and twisting the narrative to paint me as the villain. I had to focus on protecting the kids from her manipulations. We talked openly about what was happening, making sure they felt secure and loved. I encouraged them to express their feelings, and we worked through the confusion together. As the months went by, things calmed down, but Michelle continued to reach out to the kids, attempting to undermine the stability we had built. She would send them messages, trying to guilt them into believing they were abandoning her. "Mommy loves you," she would text. "You should come live with me." I monitored their phones closely, and we talked through her messages as a family. The kids were resolute. They understood that this was about more than just a mother wanting to reconnect. We focused on healing as a family. I encouraged the kids to express their feelings, whether through art, writing, or simply talking. We started a weekly family night where we would watch movies, play games, or just talk about our week. It became a sacred time for us, a way to reconnect and reinforce our bond. As the holidays approached, I suggested we do something special together. "Let's create our own traditions," I said. "We can decorate the house, bake cookies, and do whatever makes us feel like a family." Anna smiled, and Michael nodded enthusiastically. Sarah's eyes lit up with excitement. "Can we make gingerbread houses?" she asked eagerly. "Of course. We'll make the biggest, most ridiculous gingerbread houses ever." I laughed. The weeks leading up to the holidays were filled with laughter and joy. We spent evenings decorating, singing holiday songs, and sharing stories from the past. The kids were thriving, and I could see their confidence growing. But Michelle was still a looming presence in our lives. She continued to make sporadic attempts to reach out, often showing up unannounced. I could see the fear in the kids' eyes whenever her name popped up on their phones. One afternoon, she appeared at our front door, demanding to see the kids. "They deserve to know their mother," she insisted, her voice filled with desperation. "No, Michelle," I replied firmly. "You don't get to just show up whenever you want. You need to respect their space and the progress we've made." But she pushed back, trying to guilt me into letting her in. "You're taking them away from me. I'm their mother. Being a mother isn't just about biology. It's about being there for them, and you haven't been," I countered. "You need to accept that they have chosen to stay with me." The confrontation ended with her storming off, but I could feel the tension lingering in the air. I knew this wouldn't be the last we heard from her. As time went on, we continued to navigate the complexities of our new normal. I remained committed to providing a loving environment for the kids, focusing on their well-being above all else. Michelle's presence faded slightly, but the emotional scars remained. The kids still had moments of confusion and sadness about their mother's absence. We talked openly about their feelings, making sure they understood that it was okay to feel hurt. Together, we worked through the emotional turmoil. I encouraged them to express their feelings, whether through art, writing, or just talking. We developed coping strategies to manage their emotions, helping them find healthy outlets for their grief. Months turned into years, and while we faced challenges, we also celebrated victories. The kids were thriving, and I felt a deep sense of pride watching them grow. They began to find their voices, expressing their needs and desires in healthy ways. We established our own family traditions, creating a sense of belonging and stability. I knew that while Michelle would always be a part of their story, we were building our own narrative, one filled with love, resilience, and the hope for a brighter future. In the end, I realized that family isn't defined solely by blood. It's about the bonds we forge, the love we share, and the commitment to stand by one another through thick and thin. As the years passed, life settled into a comfortable rhythm. The kids were adjusting well to their new reality, and I was proud of how resilient they had become. Anna was now in her early teens, blossoming into a responsible young woman. She had taken up a passion for photography and often captured moments from our daily life, showcasing the joy we shared as a family. Michael, always the adventurous one, had discovered a love for sports. He was active in soccer and often dragged me out to the field for practice or games. His enthusiasm was infectious, and I loved watching him thrive. And then there was Sarah, now a bright and curious little girl who had taken an interest in art. She would spend hours drawing and painting, often asking me to display her masterpieces on the fridge. Despite the stability we had created, the shadow of Michelle still loomed over us. She remained a sporadic presence. Her attempts to reconnect often met with mixed emotions from the kids. They missed the idea of having a mother, but the reality of who Michelle was made it difficult for them to form a genuine bond. One Saturday afternoon, as we were preparing for a family outing to the local fair, there was a knock on the door. I opened it to find Michelle standing there, looking somewhat disheveled but determined. My heart sank. "I need to talk to you," she said, her voice firm but shaky. I hesitated, unsure of how to respond. "Now is not a good time, Michelle. We have plans." "I understand, but this is important," she insisted, her eyes pleading. Against my better judgment, I invited her in, asking the kids to give us some space. I could see the apprehension on their faces, but they respected my decision. Once we were alone, I crossed my arms, bracing myself for whatever she had to say. "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "I've been thinking," she began, her voice softening. "I want to be part of their lives again. I've been working on myself, trying to get better." My heart raced. "You've said that before, Michelle. Actions speak louder than words." I know, she admitted, running a hand through her hair. "But I'm serious this time. I've been seeing a therapist and I've made some changes. I want to prove to you and to them that I can be a good mother." As we continued to talk, she proposed a plan. "What if we start with supervised visits again? I could show them that I'm committed to being in their lives, and maybe over time, we could work up to more." I wanted to believe her, but my instincts screamed caution. "It's not just about you, Michelle. The kids have been through a lot. They need to feel safe." "I understand that," she replied earnestly. "I want to earn their trust back, but it will take time. Can we at least try? For them?" After much deliberation, I agreed to give her another chance, but under strict conditions. We would have weekly supervised visits, and I would be present to monitor the interactions. It felt like a risk, but I hoped that maybe, just maybe, she was sincere. The first visit was tense. I could feel the anxiety radiating from the kids as we waited for Michelle to arrive. I had prepped them beforehand, encouraging open communication. "Remember, it's okay to feel nervous. Just be honest about how you're feeling," I said. When she finally arrived, the kids greeted her with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Anna's face was a mask of neutrality, while Michael was cautious, and Sarah was still trying to process the whole situation. "Hi, everyone," Michelle said brightly, but her enthusiasm felt forced. "I'm so happy to see you." "Hi, Mommy," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. We spent the afternoon in the backyard, doing activities together. I watched closely, intervening when necessary. It was awkward at first, with the kids unsure how to engage with her, but I encouraged them to share their interests. "Anna, why don't you show her some of your photography?" I suggested. As Anna flipped through her photos, I could see Michelle trying to engage, but it was clear that she was struggling. The moment felt strained, and I could sense the kids were holding back their true feelings. As weeks turned into months, the visits continued. There were moments of genuine connection, especially with Sarah, who seemed to warm up to Michelle more quickly than her siblings. But there were also setbacks. Michelle would often miss scheduled visits or arrive late, which triggered the kids' insecurities. They would question whether she would stick around, and I found myself reassuring them constantly. "I'm proud of you for giving her a chance," I told Anna one evening after a particularly difficult visit. "But it's okay to feel upset when things don't go as planned." "I just don't know if I can trust her," Anna admitted, her voice thick with emotion. "What if she leaves again?" "We'll take it one day at a time," I replied, wrapping my arm around her. "You don't have to force yourself to feel something you don't. It's okay to be cautious." One afternoon, as I was preparing dinner, I overheard a conversation between Anna and Michelle in the living room. It was a rare moment where Michelle seemed vulnerable, and I decided to listen in, hoping for a breakthrough. "I just want you to know that I'm trying," Michelle said softly. "I love you kids so much, and it hurts to see how much I've hurt you." "I want to believe you," Anna replied, her voice tinged with doubt. "But you have to show us that you mean it." "I will," Michelle promised, her voice sincere. "I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back." The honesty in that moment was palpable, and I felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this was the turning point we needed. But I also knew it would require consistency and effort from Michelle. In the following weeks, I made it a point to encourage bonding activities during Michelle's visits. We did art projects, played games, and even took family outings to the park. Gradually, the atmosphere lightened. The kids started to let their guards down, engaging with Michelle and showing glimpses of their former excitement. But just when it seemed like we were making progress, Michelle had another setback. She called me one evening, her voice shaky. "I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't think I can make it to the visit tomorrow." I felt the familiar wave of frustration. "You can't keep doing this, Michelle. The kids are trying to connect with you. You need to show up." "I know, but I'm struggling," she replied, her voice breaking. "I thought I was ready, but I'm not. I'm afraid of messing everything up again." Taking a deep breath, I decided to be understanding. "It's okay to be scared, but you have to communicate with us. The kids need to know you care enough to show up, even when it's hard." The decision. Eventually, after a particularly challenging visit where Michelle canceled at the last minute, I knew I had to have a serious conversation with her. I invited her over, determined to lay everything on the table. "Michelle, I need to be honest," I began. "The kids are starting to feel hurt again. They're trying so hard to let you back in, but your inconsistencies are damaging their trust." "I get it," she replied, tears brimming in her eyes. "I just don't want to fail them again. I'm terrified of hurting them." "That's exactly why you need to be reliable," I urged. "They need to know they can count on you. If you're struggling, you have to let me know so we can figure out together." "I don't want to let them down," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You won't if you communicate," I reassured her. "We're all in this together." After our conversation, Michelle made a renewed effort to be consistent. It wasn't perfect, and there were still days of doubt, but I could see a shift in her mindset. She started being open about her struggles, and we began to build a support system for her. One day, as we were driving back from a family outing, Anna turned to Michelle and said, "I know you're trying. It means a lot to us." "Really?" Michelle asked, her eyes widening with surprise. "Yeah," Anna replied, her smile genuine. "I just hope you keep showing up." "I promise I will," Michelle said, her voice earnest. "I'm here for you. I want to be a good mom." The kids started to embrace Michelle more, showing signs of forgiveness. Michael even invited her to his soccer games, a gesture that filled me with pride. I watched as they cheered him on together, a sense of family slowly being restored. But there were still moments of tension. During a family dinner one evening, I noticed a shift in the atmosphere when Michelle brought up plans for a weekend getaway. "I was thinking we could go camping together," she suggested excitedly. "That sounds fun, but I'm not sure if we're ready for a whole weekend just yet," I interjected, wanting to manage their expectations. Michelle's face fell. "Why not? I thought we were making progress." "It's not about that," I replied gently. "I just want to ensure the kids feel comfortable. A weekend away is a big step." Anna chimed in. "Maybe we can start with a day trip first, just to see how it goes." "Yeah," Michael added. "That way we can test the waters." I saw the disappointment in Michelle's eyes, but appreciated that the kids were vocal about their boundaries. As time went on, Michelle learned to respect the kids' boundaries, and we began to forge a new dynamic. The family outings gradually increased, starting with day trips and eventually leading to longer excursions. During one memorable camping trip, we sat around the fire roasting marshmallows. The kids were laughing, sharing stories, and for the first time, I could see Michelle genuinely engaging with them, sharing in their joy. "Look at that star," Sarah exclaimed, pointing to the night sky. "That's a shooting star," Michelle replied, her voice filled with wonder. "Make a wish." "I wish we can have more nights like this," Anna said, her voice soft but hopeful. As the summer rolled on, the kids began to express their desires for a more permanent arrangement. They started asking about family vacations, birthday celebrations, and holidays together. "Can we all go to the beach next month?" Michael asked one evening. "Just us four?" I glanced at Michelle, who was taken aback by the question. "Are you sure?" she asked, her voice laced with hope and uncertainty. "Yeah, It would be so much fun. Sarah chimed in. I felt a surge of warmth in my heart. That sounds like a great idea. We can plan a weekend trip together. As we discussed the details, I could see Michelle's excitement grow. This was a pivotal moment for all of us. We were moving beyond the tentative steps of rebuilding our relationship, heading toward a future where we could genuinely act as a family. Months passed, and the kids continued to thrive. They were involved in school activities, sports, and hobbies, and they often spoke about their experiences with Michelle with a newfound openness. At family dinners, we shared stories about our days, laughed about the little things, and embraced the warmth of our evolving family unit. One evening, as I watched them interact, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Michelle had worked hard to regain their trust, and while it wasn't without its challenges, we were making strides toward a healthier family dynamic. As we sat together, reflecting on our journey, I felt hopeful for what lay ahead. The kids had begun to heal, and while Michelle still had her work cut out for her, I could see the love she had for them shining through in her actions. I love our little family, Anna said one evening, her eyes sparkling. I'm so glad we're together again. Me too, Sarah added, snuggling close to Michelle. It feels good to be here, Michelle said, tears brimming in her eyes. Thank you for giving me a chance. We're in this together, I reminded her. It will take time, but I believe we can do it. And as we continued to navigate this journey, I knew that while the path ahead might be challenging, we would face it together, united by love, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to one another.